Alright, good morning class. My name is Miss Miller and I will be giving you a lesson today on the volumes of cylinders. So what I'm first going to need you to do is take out your journals, different color pens or pencils if you have them, and we're going to first start off by writing some definitions in our journal and also the formula in our journal to understand the volume of the cylinder. And you know, in my classroom, that I am going to allow you to actually write out the definitions in the different colors that you would like so that you have a better understanding of what you're doing as a student. So, first, we're going to begin with some definitions. And the first definition that we have is the volume. So, the volume of an object is the amount of space that the object occupies. The next definition that we're going to have is the base. And the base is the lowest or highest point of an object. Next definition we are going to have is the height. And the height is the length from the base, from the top or the bottom. And the last definition that I will give you today is the radius. And the radius is the straight line that comes from the center of a circular base. Does anybody have any questions over the volume, base, height, or the radius for the definitions? Okay. Next, we're going to go over the formula that we are going to need to know to find the volume of a cylinder. And the formula is V is equal to, V is our volume, is equal to pi radius squared times the height. And in the formula, you're going to usually see the little dot right here between the radius and the height, and this dot is meant to multiply. And within this whole entire formula, we're actually going to multiply each and every number. So now, as you can see on the board, I have V is equal to, pi is equal to, radius squared is equal to, and height is equal to. And I also have SI unit. The SI unit is going to be the degree of which the unit is equal to. And that is going to be 3, or also known for when we write out the answer for our solution is going to be cubed, which cube is going to be 3. So, with the blank spots that we have right here, we're going to actually fill out what each of the parts to the formula means. So, the first part that we have is V. V is simply going to equal our volume. So, in your journal, I'm going to need you to write V is equal to volume. Next, you will write the symbol of pi. Now, pi is actually a number, and when we are given pi in a formula, for example, for the cylinder, we are not going to have to solve the answer for pi. Pi is always a number that is given to us, and pi is equal to 3.14. So in your journals, write pi is equal to 3.14. Next, we have r squared. Like I said in the definitions before, the r is going to be the radius, which is the straight line that comes from the center of the circular base. And you'll get to see the circular base when we go into the examples, and I will show you what the radius actually looks like. But in this case, when we have r squared, this square, the 2, simply means that we're going to square the radius, which pretty much means that we're going to multiply the radius times itself, which means we're going to have the radius times the radius. So go ahead and write in your journals, r squared is equal to the radius r times r, the radius. So for example, if I give you that the radius is equal to 2 squared, you're going to simply multiply 2 times 2. So it will be 2 times 2. And next we have the h, which is simply going to be equal to our height. And like I said it before, our SI unit is actually going to be at the end of the problem for our solution. And the 3 simply means that we're going to hue the solution, which means that the solution is going to be the number and the unit cubed. Does anybody have any questions over the definitions or the formula for the volume of cylinders? Okay, now that I have explained your questions over the definitions and the formula, and now that you have a better understanding of what we're going to do, and now that you have written down all the definitions and the formula in your journal, next I want you to turn to the next available page in your journal, and we are going to go over the first example that I will be giving you for the volume of cylinders. So, in our first example, I have drawn you a visualization of what a cylinder looks like. And here I have drawn the radius and I have drawn the height. Earlier, when I explained to you the definitions of what the radius is, I told you that the radius is the point from the center of the circular base that goes all the way to the edge of the base. So where we have the 2 centimeters, that is actually a radius. And now we have a line that is going from the top to the bottom, that's coming from our base to the bottom, and this is known as our height. So now we're going to go over the math steps that we need to know in order to find the volume of our cylinder. So next, I want you to write down the formula that we are given when we're looking for the formula of our cylinder. So the formula is V is equal to pi r squared times the height. So the first step that we always want to do when we're looking for the volume of our cylinder is to find our radius and our height in the formula. So the radius is equal to and the height is equal to. This is what I want you to write in your journal. So by looking at our picture of the cylinder, what I will want you to do is to write down the radius and the height the way that it is given to us in the picture. And that is, the radius is 2 and the height is 4. So, given the picture of our cylinder and given the formula, we know that our radius is equal to 2 and our height is equal to 4. But in the formula, we see that the radius is actually radius squared, which means that we have to square our radius, which is 2, which is going to make it equal to 2 squared. So, before in the definitions, I explained that the radius is actually going to be radius squared, which means that it's going to be radius times the radius. And since our radius is 2, that means it is going to be 2 times 2. That's all what the square means, is to multiply the radius times itself, which in this case is going to be 2 times 2. And we have our height, which is 4. The next step that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to break down the whole entire formula into its parts. So we have V is equal to pi is equal to, r squared is equal to, and height is equal to. All these steps that I'm writing, including the picture, need to be written in your journal. So the V is something that we do not know yet. So the V is our volume, so we're going to put a question mark next to the V. Next is pi, which I stated before, which is pi is a number that is always given to us, which is 3.14. And the radius squared is, if we look at the first step, is 2 squared. And the height is equal to 4. So next, in step 3, we're actually going to solve our problem. So now we have V is equal to 3.14 times 2 squared times 4. So parentheses basically means that we're going to multiply the whole entire equation. So now we have 3.14. Since now we have 2 squared right here, we know that we can break this down. So we can go ahead and multiply the 2 times itself, which is going to be 4 times 4. So now what we know that we can do is that we can solve the entire equation. So I'm going to need everybody to get out their calculators and put into the calculator 3.14 times 4 times 4. And once we put that in our calculators, we are going to get 50.24 centimeters, because that's what we have right here, cubed. And that is our SI unit for the equation. So our answer is V, the volume, is equal to 50.24 centimeters cubed. Does anybody have any questions over the first example? Okay, so now we're going to go over example 2, in which you will now draw the picture for example 2 in your journals. And you can see for example 2, I have given you the radius, which is equal to 6. And then I have given you the height, which is equal to 2 centimeters. So now we're going to go ahead and go over to step 2, and we're going to fill in our parts of our formula. So V is something that we do not know. Pi is always going to be equal to 3.14. And the radius, in this case, is equal to 6 squared. And the height is equal to 2. So now we're going to go over to step 3 and fill out our formula, which is V is equal to 3.14 times 6 squared times 2, which is, since we can break the 6 down, this is 6 times 6, which is 3.14 times 36 times 2. And now when we solve this problem, we're going to have V is equal to 226 times 0.8 centimeters cubed. And that is example 2. Does anybody have any questions over the second example? Okay, now time for our last example. So here we have the radius, which is equal to 3, and we also have the height, which is equal to 5. So now for step 2, we are going to break down our formula, so which we have V is equal to, pi is equal to, radius squared is equal to, and the height is equal to, and we do not know our volume. So now we're going to solve the equation, which is V is equal to 3.14 times 3 squared times 5, which is equal to 3.14 times 9 times 5. And once we solve that, we have V is equal to 141.3 centimeters cubed. Does anybody have any questions over example 3? Okay, so now I need everybody to get turned to a next available sheet of paper in a journal, and I need everyone to write down 3 practice problems that I will be giving you probably about 15 minutes to do it on your own. So I'm going to give you about 15 minutes for you to solve all 3 of these problems, and then I will be walking around to see if anybody has any questions over the problems. Okay, so today you will actually not be getting any homework. You will actually be getting homework the next day when I hand you out a worksheet where we're going to be measuring the radius and the height. But you will have to do an exit assignment for you to exit out the classroom today, which is the Today I Learned. So what you will have to do is label everything that you have learned today, and that is which we have learned the radius and the height. So we have learned today that the radius is the center point, which is the straight line that goes from the center of the circle that goes to the edge. And we had also learned that the circle, the height comes from the top of the circular base, also from the bottom circular base, and the middle. So this is the height. And if we go back to our formula that we learned today, V is equal to pi times r squared times height. We learned that the V is equal to the volume. Pi is equal to 3.14. R is equal to the radius squared, which means radius times the radius, and the h is equal to the height. So like I said, I will not be giving you a worksheet for homework, but what I would like for you to do is to go home and do another Today I Learned and come back with your cylinder drawing and with the formula here, and you can create a problem for the volume, and I will be checking it tomorrow. And this concludes our lesson on the volume of cylinders.